In this section, we'll be analyzing the Gapminder dataset. Gapminder data is the data about all the countries over the years, their GDPs, life expectancy, and population. We will be analyzing this data using Plotly, which will provide interactivity to our graphs. In this video, we'll be analyzing the data using Plotly Express. So in our previous video, we have learned about Plotly and how to plot the data using Plotly using interactive plots, right? By how you can draw all these interactive plots where you can interact with the graph elements and you can filter out some information as well. Now there we were using the iPlot, that is cufflinks, and we were using Plotly with that. Now here we will be using the Plotly Express and we will be doing all this task. So first of all, we will import the libraries, then we are going to load the data. So we will import all the libraries that is required in order to proceed with the data analysis. Then we will load the data set, and after loading the data set, we will create table using this Plotly. So by default, Pandas gives you table, but Plotly will give you a better table which will mark this. You can give some color coding and you can easily visualize that table as well. Then we will do some quick visualization using our bar charts. And you will see how you can plot this bar chart using this Plotly, and also you can provide different scales for that as well. We will plot life expectancy versus the GDP of our data. So the data that we are going to use is the famous Gapminder dataset that we'll be using in this analysis. And here we will try to plot the life expectancy versus the GDP per capita of all the countries. We'll try to create, so our task 6 is to create interactive bubble charts using this Plotly. And here in task 7, we'll be creating our interactive animation and facet plots. So all of this, you can add that in your Plotly and data analysis part. And lastly, we'll be creating this to represent a geographical data as animated map. So we will be creating animated maps using this Plotly as well. So these all are our tasks, and we will try to accomplish all these tasks at the end of this project. So this was just the introduction to what we are going to see and how you are going to, what all graphs we are going to draw to do this analysis on this Gapminder dataset. Next up, we'll import all the libraries and we will also load our dataset. So I'll see you there. Hi everyone and welcome back. So now let's go ahead and import all the libraries that we are going to require in order to perform this analysis. So let me just zoom in. Now here I'll import all the libraries that we'll be using to analyze this data. So import all the necessary libraries. All right. So here we are going to import the NumPy as NP, because whenever you are going for data analysis, this NumPy pandas are important as they are going to provide some functionality to handle this data and to do some sort of analysis on that. Import pandas as PD. And also when you are going for any kind of plotting, it is necessary that you always import this Matplotlib. So import Matplotlib dot pyplot as PLT. And also we will import Seaborn package so that whenever we require this Seaborn, we can use it. So import Seaborn as SNS, and here we'll give percentage Matplotlib inline. So this is a magic command which tells this Jupyter notebook that we want all our graphs to be in this, our Jupyter notebook to be plotted in this notebook itself. We don't want to be plotted in some other HTML or some other online stuff. All right. So it's running. Let's wait for it. And in the meantime, we will just import the other packages that we are going to require, that is import Plotly. So now we are going to import all the classes and function from Plotly. So import all the necessary functions and classes from this Plotly. Now here we'll write import Plotly, and here we'll be using Plotly Express so that you can get comfortable with this iPlot or even this Plotly Express or anything. So import plotly.express as px. Now here we will import Plotly dot offline as py. Alright. Now after doing that, we also need to tell this notebook that we want our graph to be plotted in offline mode. So py.offline dot, and here we'll give init, then underscore, here we'll be giving notebook and notebook underscore mode, and we'll say that connected equals to true. So whatever graph we are going to plot it, it will be plotted in the same notebook. It won't plot you in some new tab or some HTML. Okay. So now after doing this, we will also require this. So from import Plotly dot graph objects, so we are going to import this graph objects as well as go. And after doing all this, we need to import another module. So from Plotly dot graph underscore factory, and here we'll import create table. So now let's write this create underscore table. So it will create a table in a nice format in this Plotly. Okay. So these all packages, we are going to require all these packages to do this data analysis using this Plotly Express. So you'll be using this Plotly Express now, and you'll see all kind of graphs and how you're going to visualize your data. You make interactive graph in the future classes. So here I haven't run this. Let me run it. So here we have imported all the packages. So it gives me this error, no module name, plotly.graph factory. Alright, so it should be figure factory, not graph factory. So I spelled this. This should be figure factory, and now let's run it. So here, now we are running it. So now it's running fine, and we have imported all the necessary packages. Now let's get the data set. So we will be using this Gapminder data is already present in this Plotly package. So to get this Gapminder data, I'll just write Gapminder. I'll create a variable. So Gapminder equals to, and here we have this Plotly Express, that is px dot data dot Gapminder. So we have this Gapminder dataset, and now let's run this, and here I'll just give Gapminder dot head. So we can see the dataset dot head, and now let's run this. So this is our Gapminder dataset that we have. So here we have done this two tasks, which is importing the library and loading this dataset. So we have loaded this dataset. So here loading data from Plotly Express. All right, and this is our data set. So this data set is having this column, that is country, then continent, then we have the year, we have the life expectancy, you have the population, GDP per capita, and this is ISO location, that is alpha, that is Afghanistan. You have Afghanistan, it has been coded as AFG, and here you have this ISO number. So we'll be analyzing this data set, and we'll be plotting all these interactive graphs using this Plotly. So I'll see you in the next video now, where we are going to do some analysis and plot some bar graphs and create the table as well. So I'll see you there. Hi everyone, and welcome back. So in our previous video, we have loaded this data. Now let's check some shape of the data, and also let's check analyze some of these columns of this data. So here I will just write my data dot describe, or first let's check the shape of this data. Check the shape of the data. So we will know how many rows and how many columns do we have. So here I'll write Gapminder dot shape, and it will tell us the shape of this data. So in this data we are having 1704 records and we have 8 columns, and if you want to know the columns, so here we are going to check the columns in our data set. So here I can write Gapminder dot columns, and it will tell us the columns that are there in our data set. So we have country, we have continent, we have year, life expectancy, we have population, GDP per capita and all. Now I want to know the information of my data. So here we can check the info of the data. And how we are going to do that? So here I'll write Gapminder. We have already seen that we can use this pandas to do all this kind of analysis. So Gapminder dot, and here info, it will give us the info regarding this data, right? So there are these all information, like we have range index from 1074 entries ranging from 0 to 1703. We have total 8 columns, and these all are the columns. We have country, it is having 1704 non-null count, and the object data type is object. And similarly you can check all this information. Similarly you can describe your numeric data. So you can just write your describe the data. So here we'll just write Gapminder dot describe, and let's run this. So this is our description. We have here life expectancy, you have the population, you have GDP per capita and ISO number, and you can check the count, mean and standard deviation, minimum value, 25 percentile, 50 percentile, 75 percentile and maximum. So here if you see this population and life expectancy, here you have the count, and here you have this mean life expectancy, that is 59, and you have standard deviation of 12, and minimum is 23.5, and 25 percentile of all those countries that are there are having this life expectancy between 23 to 48, that is quartile 1. You have 50% of them are lying between your minimum 23 to 60. Then you have 75% of them between 70 to 23, and maximum is 82. So you can go get all this information from this description. Now here we have the country and you have the continent. Now let's see how many countries are there and how many record for the continent or for the country do we have. So to check that, I can write my Gapminder data, Gapminder, and here we can select this country, and here we can give dot value counts. So it will tell us how many values for each country are there. So we have here we have this Poland, we have Gabon, Eritrea, we have Montenegro, then Peru, Denmark, Argentina, and there are many more. So the length is 142. That means there are around 142 countries in our data set. Now if you want to check the continent, we can just write Gapminder, and here I can give continent. So let me check this spell so that we don't get any error. Okay, so that's continent. I'll just copy this and let's just paste it. So here I'm going to just paste it over here. All right, and here we'll just give dot value counts, and let's run this. So here for Africa there are 624 records. For Asia it is 396. For Europe it is 360. For Americas it is 300, and for Oceania it is 24, right? So now here we have done some basic analysis of our data, and now let me show you how you can convert this data in your nice tabular format, nice table that you are going to find in Excel sheet or something, right? So here I'll just write create table. So here we can just give create table, and here I'll just pass the data. So I'll just write Gapminder dot head. And what is this create table? So we have imported this class create table from plotly.figureFactory, right? So if I write this, if I run this, you will get a beautiful table apart from this pandas data frame, right? So here you can see we have the country, we have continent, you have the year, life expectancy, GDP, ISO number, right? And you have got a nice table. So this is our very initial analysis. In the next video, we will see how we can draw a bar graph and why we require to draw this bar graph. So I'll see you in the next video. Hi everyone and welcome back. So now in this video, we are going to do some analysis on our data. So let me just get some new code cell, and also I'll just put this in markdowns, okay, that I can write some text here. So here we are going to make a bar chart. So we will visualize the data using this bar chart. So now what I will do is I want to filter out the data for the country Canada. Okay. So here I have Canada data. So I'll create a variable Canada data equals to, and here I'll give this px dot data dot our Gapminder. So px dot data dot Gapminder, and here from this Gapminder data we want to query, we want to give a query to it. So dot query, and we want to query about the country. So country is going to be equals to, and so the country is double equals to it's Canada. So Canada. Now here if I print this Canada data, so let me just write it down, Canada underscore data. Here we'll see that, okay, so let me just check. It says expression must be a string to be evaluated and class boolean given. All right, so let me just check it. All right, so we should give this country, and here I should keep this inside this quote. So I have this Canada. All right. Okay, let me just check. Okay, so we have invalid syntax. We need to remove this from here as well. Now let's run it. So here it should be capital C, and now let's run this. All right. So here we have got all this data of Canada, right? Here we have just the data of Canada. Now what I want to do is I want to plot a histogram. Not histogram, we want to plot a bar chart of our, on x-axis we will have the year. So on x-axis I want the year, and on y-axis I want this life expectancy. Okay, so let's plot this and see how we're going to do this. So here I'll write our figure or px dot, we'll just give bar, and here we'll give the data, that is our Canada data, and here we'll give comma our x and y axis. So on x axis I want it to be year, so let's give this as year, and on y axis we want it to be life expectancy. So let's give it as life expectancy, and here let's give some height. Otherwise if you run this, here we'll get the graph, and we will customize that. So I think my internet is slower. Okay, so here we have got this bar chart of, on the x-axis we are having this year, and on y-axis we are having this life expectancy, right? And here you have got this bar which represent this years and life expectancy. So here you can check that the year is 1952 and the life expectancy is 68.75. The year is 1957 and you can see the life expectancy is 69.96. Similarly, if you hover your mouse over one of this bar, it will tell you what is the year and what is the life expectancy in that year. Now here you can also give some height to this graph. So height equals to, we can set this to 400. Let's run it now. So now we have given the height, we have changed this height. So you can always zoom in, zoom out. So here I can select this portion of the data, I can zoom in and I can see, right? So even if you want to go further in, you can just zoom in this data and you can see this, right? So let's rescale this. All right. So this is our life expectancy versus on the x-axis we are having the year, and on the y-axis we are having this life expectancy. Now we can also add the third variable. Let's say I want to give this as we want the population. So we also want to check the population, and I want to the color code it with the life expectancy. So I'll just copy this and let me just paste it over here. And here we have given px.park, and here we have Canada data, and on x-axis we are having this year, and on y-axis now I'll make this y-axis as the population. So we will have this pop, we have this column pop over here, right? So this gives us the population. So if I run this now, you'll see all this population over the year. So over the year, the population is increasing, right? Here we are getting this year and pop. That is, here if you see, you are getting this 14.78558 million. It is not giving you the exact value, but here it has converted this to million, or it will convert that to K if you have in 1000, right? All right. So here I can add another variable. Let's say I want to see the life expectancy over the years as the population increases. So here I'll just give color equals to, we'll just give this as life exp, that is life expectancy. And now let's run this. So here, as you can see, you have the life expectancy over the years, and here you can see all these three values. So if I go to this first bar, I can see that the year is 1952, the population is 14.78558 million, and the life expectancy is 68.75. Similarly, if you go to the other bar, you can check this year, population and life expectancy. So here you can see that as the year is increasing, the population is also increasing, and for the Canada, the life expectancy is the highest in this 2007. So we have this data till 2007 only. So as the year is increasing, life expectancy is also increasing, population is also increasing. Now here, if you see, we are getting this POP, that is population equals to 30.3. Now if you want to make this not show this as POP, if you want to show it as population, you can add the labels. So here you can give this labels as well. So I will just give comma, and here we can give labels equals to, and here you can provide a dictionary of the labels. So I want this pop to be population. Okay. So now if I run this here, if I go to this individual bars, it says the population. Now it doesn't tell us that it is pop, right? Now you can interact with this graph, you can visualize it, you can analyze this, all the graph, right? Here you can see that the year and everything. So here it will show you this both of the things, right? So here we have drawn this bar chart to analyze this Canada data to see the over the year how the population is changing and how this life expectancy, whether it is increasing or decreasing. All right. So now in our next video, we will see how we can draw life expectancy versus the GDP per capita. So I will be seeing you in the next video. Hi everyone and welcome back. So now in this video, we'll draw a scatter plot to see the life expectancy versus the GDP per capita. We'll try to see if there is any relationship between GDP per capita and life expectancy or not. So here, let me get some new code blocks so we can code this up. And now, let me make this as markdown. And here we'll be seeing this life expectancy versus GDP per capita. All right. Now, here, let's query the data. So we'll see this data of 2017. So we'll just filter the data of the last year. So here I'm going to write Gapminder 2007 equals to, here we'll just give Gapminder dot query, and here we'll put this year equals to 2007. So here let's give this year is double equals to 2007, and this is our Gapminder 2017 data that we have. So let me just run this and print it. So here we have this, all the data, we have 142 records that are from 2007. Now let's plot a scatter plot of the our life expectancy versus the GDP per capita. Let's see if there is any relation between this or not. So here we'll just write our graph, that is px dot scatter, and here we'll give this our Gapminder 2017. Here we'll just give 2007, and comma, here we'll give the, on x-axis we want it to be GDP per capita, so GDP per cap, and on y-axis, so here on the y-axis I'm going to give it as our life expectancy. So life expectancy, that is exp, and now let's run this and see. So here we have got this graph. We have got this GDP per capita on the x-axis, and we have got this life expectancy on the y-axis. Now here, as you can see, the GDP per capita of those countries who is below, let's say this, I can zoom in. So here, those who are having below this 5,000 of GDP per capita, they are having less of life expectancy, right? So here, let me just rescale this. All right. So we have rescaled this, and once you reach this 5,000, here if you see, if you are above this 10K, there are most chances, mostly the countries are, mostly the values are this life expectancy, and here you can see this, the GDP is per capita is around 3025. Here the life expectancy is almost 73 years. Here you have this 70 years, and here you have 66, and here you can see that those countries who are having the GDP per capita is less, there the life expectancy is also less. So as your GDP per capita is increasing, this country are having more life expectancy, and once it reaches this saturation, so there is this saturation, after this there is no much increase in the life expectancy, right? Here you can see there are some outliers. The country with almost 50K your GDP per capita, and there the life expectancy is around 80.196. So it will be interesting to see which country it is, and you can code that as well, right? You can filter the data and you can plot that. Now, this is our, we are just checking the relation. Now let's put a filter in here, and here we'll just give the filter. Let's add this filter. So I'll just copy this and paste it over here, and here we are going to color it with the continent. So color this according to continent, and let's see where the life expectancy is more. So let me just check this continent spelling. So I'll just copy this and I'll just go down and let me just paste it. All right, now let's run this. So now all of them has been coded, color coded, right? So here you have this continent, that is Asia, Europe, Africa, America, and we have this Oceania. Now, if you see the countries in Africa, they are having their GDP per capita is very less. And the countries in Africa, mostly they are having this low life expectancy as their GDP is low. And in Asia, here you can see that mostly they are having, there are some countries where in Asia the life expectancy is 59.54 for this data point, and here you can see this, there is one more data point in here, and here it belongs to the Asia. It is a outlier, you can see that, because here you don't see any data point for the Asia, and there is one country who is having less life expectancy and GDP per capita is just 974, right? And here you can filter this data. For example, if you just want to look for, if I click on this Europe, it will remove this all the data points of Europe. If you remove Africa, America and Oceania, now you just have the life expectancy of the Asia continent. Now if you want the Africa, I can click on this Africa, and here we have Asia and Africa. Let's see the Americas. So mostly the Americans country, they are having this life expectancy on the higher side, right? Almost you are having this mainly you can see this, it is 76 or 78 something, right? And in Europe, here you have this European continent. There might be one country which is having 80 your life expectancy, and their GDP is also very high, right? And these all are European countries. If you see, they are having the high GDP per capita and their life expectancy is also high. And this is our Oceania. So here there are some countries from Oceania, only one or two, and they are having all this GDP per their life expectancy is high as well. So here you can add all this information in this scatter plot, and you can analyze this data. Now in our next video, we'll see how we can plot interactive bubble chart, and we'll be plotting this GDP per capita and life expectancy in our next video using this bubble chart. So here we have just done this scatter plot. There will be having a bubble chart. So I'll see you there. Hi everyone and welcome back. So now in this video, we'll plot interactive bubble charts for our GDP and life expectancy scatter plots that we have plotted in our previous video. So here I'll just write px dot, and we'll just write scatter, px dot scatter, and here we'll be giving this data that is our Gapminder 2007, comma, on x-axis we want it to be year, and on y-axis we want it to be life expectancy. Alright, so on y-axis we want it to be our life expectancy. Alright, so I have given this year. It should be, we want to plot this between the life expectancy and GDP per capita. So I'll just give GDP per cap and the life expectancy. Alright, now here we will add this color. So we'll give this color equals to, and the color we want it to be the continent. So continent. And now I will add this. So if I run this, you will see that this is just like a our scatter plot that we have done previously in our previous video, right? Now to make this a bubble plot, or to make this a bubble chart, we can just give comma, and here we can give this size equals to, instead of giving some numeric value, here we will be adding this pop. So we have given this size equals to pop, and now let's run this. So here we have got this here we have got this bubble plot, right? We have got all these bubbles, and now let's add this. So you can change this size as well. So we can add this size underscore max equals to 60. So now let's run it. All right, so here I should give this size max, and let's run this. Now here you have got this bubble plot, right? So these countries are Asia. Here you have the Asia. Then if you want to hide it, any country, you can do that. Let's hide this all. And here we have the graph of this Asia. You want to see for the Europe, you can add just the Europe, right? And here you can see the continent, you can see the GDP per capita, you can see the life expectancy, you can see the population, right? You can see all this numeric value over here. So in size, we have added this population. Instead of giving any numeric value, here we had this column which is population. So we have added that in our this pop. So now whatever size that you see over here, it is according to the population. So this big plot, they are having more population. And also here you can see this is Asia. So in Asia you have more population, right? You have China, we have India, and they are the first and the second rank country that are having more population. And you have this Europe, and here you can see those countries who are having less population, they are having more life expectancy here as well, right? So you can do that analysis and you can see it here in this bubble plot. All right, here you have this your Africa. There the countries, they are having this a very less population, but still their life expectancy and GDP per capita is very low. And there are some countries who are having good your per capita income and life expectancy. So this is our bubble plot. Now in this bubble plot, you can do many things, like you can give this a country name. For example, we are not able to identify which country it is. So we can add this country name. So I'll just copy this, and here we'll just copy it. Let's go down, and here we'll give, let me just paste it. Here we can just give comma. Here we will just write hover, that is hover name, whatever, whenever we are taking this mouse to this different continent, it should tell us the country as well. So we'll give hover name, and the hover name is going to be, we are going to add this as country. Now let's run this. So here, if I take this mouse, here you can see this is China in Asia, and here this is India, right? So they are having the more population, and you can see their population, you can see life expectancy, you can see GDP per capita, and this is for China. Here you have this United States, right? And you can see all this stuff in this bubble plot. So now here we have added this bubble plot, and we have customized this, and now you can do a better analysis in just one graph. Now in our next video, we will see how we can create interactive animations, and also how we can plot this facet plots using Plotly to analyze our Gapminder data. So I'll see you there. Hi everyone, and welcome back. So now in this video, we'll see how we can draw a facet plot using Plotly to analyze our Gapminder data now. All right. So let me get some new code blocks, and now here we are going to plot this our GDP per capita and life expectancy, and we'll see for all these different continents, we'll plot a different graph. Okay, so how we are going to do that, we'll write px dot scatter. So we want it to be scatter plot, and here we are going to give this Gapminder data. So Gapminder data, and here we'll give our x equals to, we want it to be GDP per capita, so we'll give per cap, and on y-axis we want it to be our life expectancy, so life exp, and after that what I want is, I want this plot, so we'll have all this plot, and here on this side of the plot, on first graph we'll have one continent, on the other graph we'll have the other continent. So we want this for different continent. Now different graphs for different continent. So here I have given, I'll add this color equals to, and let's add this as continent. Okay. So continent, yeah. So we have added this continent, and we will add this size of, so we are going to add this as bubble plot. So we'll give size as pop, and if you don't want to add this, you can remove that. So size equals to pop, and now I'll give max, size max equals to 60. So we have this maximum size, that is 60. And here the hover name, so we had added the hover name equals to, and here we'll give this as country. So this is our hover name, and after this hover name, we'll give this facet column. So it will plot this. So here we'll give facet column equals to the continent. So we'll just give continent. Alright. Now what it will do is, instead of just plotting it on the single graph, it will create a multiple column graph. Okay. So you have 1 column, 2 column, 3 column based on the number of continents that we have. So let me just change this. I have misspelled it, and this is our continent. Now here you will see that here we have got this continent Asia. So this is our Asia, and we have GDP per capita, and we have this life expectancy. Now you have got this multiple graphs for all these countries. So if you want to hide something, you can hide this Oceania. So there are very less country in this Oceania, and you can see that their GDP per cap is high, and their life expectancy is minimum is almost your 69, and the maximum is your 81, right? You have this United States, here we have the Europe, and you can see all these countries, right? But here if you see this scale, it is starting from -50. So we can change this scale, we can give it to set this to log or some other scale. So we need to change this scale of our x-axis. So here I have just copied that, and I'm going to just paste it, and here we'll just give log of x. So log of x equals to, we'll give it as true. Let's run this now, and here we have changed this given a log. So log cannot take a negative value, right? So log cannot be negative. So now we have 100, 1000, 10k, then we have 100k, and these are the country that you have. Here we have this Israel, you have China, Myanmar, Nepal, you have all these countries, right? These are Asian country, you have the European continent, and here you have Switzerland. These are African continents, and there you can see that their GDP per cap is less, and also life expectancy is less as well, and their population is comparatively less as well, right? Here you have this America, and you have Canada, United States, you have continent, Oceania, and all. Alright, so here we have drawn this facet plot. Now in our next video, we'll be drawing the animation plot. We'll see how we can add the animation to our graph. For example, let's say we want to see the GDP per capita and the life expectancy over the years in different continent. So we will add a animation there to which is going to show us year by year how this life expectancy and GDP per capita is changing for all this continent or country. So I'll see you there. Hi everyone, and welcome back. So now in this video, we're going to add animation to our graph. Okay, so we'll see how this GDP per capita and life expectancy is changing over the continent, and what's the population there as well. And for that, we are going to plot over the years. For that, we are going to add a animation. So we will be adding animation in that. So here I'll just write px.scatter, and here we'll give this Gapminder data. Alright, so Gapminder, comma, on x-axis we want it to be GDP per capita. So GDP per cap. Alright, so per cap, and on y-axis we want it to be our life expectancy. So life, and here we'll give it as exp. Then here we'll give the color equals to, the color is going to be the continent. Alright, so continent, and here our size is going to be the population. So here let's add this as pop, and then here we are going to add the max size. So size max equals to, and let's give this as 40, or you can add this as 50, whatever you want. and here we'll give this hover name. So if you hover over this our bubbles, it should tell us the country name and also all this information like continent, GDP per capita, life expectancy and population. So hover name equals to, here we will give it as country, comma, then we will give this, we want this log x equals to true. So we want to add this scale to our x-axis. So here we have given the scale to be log, and here this animation are nothing but they are the different frames over the years, right? So you have one graph and you put it frame by frame, then you can put this animation as an animation. So here we will be giving this animation frame equals to the year. So we want to make this all the graphs over the years, all these bubble plots over the years one by one. That means we are adding a animation. Now here I'll give this comma, and you can give the animation group. So what you want to animate? So animation group, we want it to be the country. So animation group equals to country, and now here let's give this range of x. So range of x is equals to, and here let's add this as our 25 till 1000, or let's give it as 10,000. Okay, and range of y, so let's give this range of this y equals to, here we are going to add this as 25 till the 90. Okay, now let's run this and see this animation graph. So here we have got this year, right? You have 1952, 1957, 1962, 1967 and all the way till 2007. On the x-axis, we have this GDP per capita ranging from this 100, then we have 1000 to 10,000. Here we have the life expectancy, right? So if you want to change this, you can do that as well. So let me just remove this. Now if you run this, here you have got this GDP per capita, and here you have this 100k. Now here we are having 10k, and here we are having this 1000. But most of the countries would not be visible because they are having this GDP per capita, or their GDP per capita is very less. Okay, so this is 1952. Now here you have got this play and pause button, right? So if I click on this play, now you'll see this interactive, this bubble plot, right? Here you can see on 2017, here it is China, here we have the India, here you have this Pakistan, and here you got the Brazil, and there are some countries. Here we need to add this Y scale. So we can give this comma. Here we can give range of Y. So range Y equals to, let's add this as 25 or just give it as 23 to, we'll give it as 90. Now let's run this. All right, and now let's click on this play, and you can see this animation. All right, so this is the over the country how this your life expectancy and GDP per capita is changing for the this different countries. So I can go to some particular year as well. For example, I can go to 1972, I can go to 1962, and you can see this. So if I can play it, I can pause it as well. So here I have paused it at 1972. And also if you want to check for some particular continent, for example, let's see over the years in this Asia. So let's start from 0, and now let me just play it, and you can see this animations over the year, right? So here you have all these countries, and you have Japan, and here you have some Singapore. There the life expectancy is very high, right? And also the life expectancy and population of China and India has grown. So here you can check it for Europe as well, right? So you can do all this cool stuff using this Plotly. You can analyze this data, you can add bubble plot, you can add this animation, right? So this is our how we are going to add this bubble plot and how we can analyze this data better. So you can add this animation, you can add the frame, right? You can analyze over the years, and in just one graph you get all this information. Alright, now we have almost completed all our tasks. The one that we are left with is we will be drawing this geographical data and we'll be adding the animation to that as well. So that's going to be our last video. So I will see you there. Hi everyone and welcome back. So now in our previous video, we have seen how we can add animation to our graph. Now we will be plotting the maps so that we can see which country is having high life expectancy, and we will add that animation as well to see over the years how it has changed over the continents or over the country. Alright, so now we will create a map using Choropleth. Alright, so here we will just write px dot, and to plot the map you should write Choropleth. Alright, so Choropleth. So we are going to add this Choropleth maps. Alright, now we want to give this data which is Gapminder, comma, we'll give the locations. Alright, so here the locations are our column which is ISO underscore alpha. So here we have this data, and in this data we have this ISO alpha, right? So these are the country codes that we have. So we have given this locations as ISO alpha. Alright, let me just go down, and here after giving this location we'll be giving the color that we want to give to this different continents over. So we want to color code it with the life expectancy. Alright, so the color is going to be based on the life expectancy, and the hover name we are going to give it as hover name we going to give it as this country. Alright, now after doing this, what we are going to add this, we are going to add the animation frame. The animation frame is going to be our year. Alright, now next up what we are going to add is we will be adding color underscore continuous and here scale. So here our graph is going to be a geographical graph, right? And we will be adding the colors based on the expectancy. So the graph, the scale could change based on the year over the years, right? So color continuous scale equals to, we will just give it as, so it should give this scale as well. So px dot colors, and here we will give this sequential dot plasma. So colors dot sequential dot plasma. Alright, then here we will give projection equals to our natural earth. So projection of this graph. So the projection is going to be just like our natural earth. So we will give natural earth, and now let's run this. Alright, so here we have got this project. Okay, so let me see where is this project. Alright, so it should be projection. I have just given project. Let's run it now. Alright, so here as you can see we have got this geographical graph, right? Here you have got this color bar that is life expectancy, and these all country has been color coded based on the life expectancy. So you can see that there is more life expectancy in USA, right, and Australia, and some African countries and some European countries, right? And here you can see all these Asian countries, all of them are having life expectancy of 50 or 40 or something like that, right? Now you can see all this life expectancy. You have hover name. So if I hover over this, this is India, and here is 1952, because here we have added this our animation. So it will start from year 1952. You can shift it to the end. So here we are at the 2007 now, and here you can see this change in this our life expectancy over the year, right? So here now it is India, right? Okay, so let me just minimize this a bit. So here you can zoom in any country if you want, you can zoom out. So you can do all these cool things with this Plotly, right? So now I will just click on this animation and see how this is changing over the years. So this shows you how this life expectancy changes over the country over the years, right? So we have added all this graph and we have analyzed our data, right? And we have added all this cool animation. We have made this interactive plot, right? You can add the filters, you can filter your data, you can add facet plot and all these values. So I hope now you are feeling confident and you are more confident that you can put this all your knowledge to work, and you can do any project on your own. You can plot this interactive plots and you can add all this animation and all this information in your graph. Congratulations on completing the final section of this course, where we have analyzed the data using Plotly, which provides the interactivity to our graphs. We have learned many things in this section, from analyzing the data with pandas to adding animation and bubbles in our graph. So now you have completed all this section of this course. So many congratulations for that.